I remember going to Las Vegas, Nevada for a trade show called the NAB Show. It stood for National Association of Broadcasters Convention Show. This is where all broadcasters and business owners, we're talking major television networks, ABC, NBC, Disney, Fox, ESPN, all of them gathering together, converging in one location in Las Vegas, Nevada. This was back in the 90s, and by the time I was finished with the trade show, the cost of the airfare, the hotel stay, my food, my meetings, my private invites that I was able to go to, 5 days of powerful meetings cost me over $5,000 to be able to be part of. That was the cost of everything: hotel round trip, airfare, rental car, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the different snacks that you had to have, and also entry fees cost me about $5,000. That one conference that I went to in those 5 days, there was a conversation that I happened to sit in. I was buying some lunch over at one of the little kiosks that were at the trade room floor, and I found a small corner that I can sit down on the floor and eat my lunch. The lunch cost me about $20. It was not a very good burger and some fries and soda, but I was starving. But it cost me $20 to $25 because, as you know, convention centers, they charge so much money for their food. As I was sitting there, I overheard a conversation between these two men that happened to be in two different countries. One of them was from a European country, and another one was from an Asian country. As we sat there and they were talking about how they came from their respected nation just to that trade show, so that way they can consult with different clients that they had. Now, I had already probably 10, 15 years of experience in broadcast and also going to the trade show looking for equipment to purchase. But as I heard them, they began to talk about how they were consultants. This was a new term for me, consultant. So I asked them, explain to me what that consultancy is. And they began to explain to me that there were people that were looking for a shortcut on how to answer their major questions. They didn't know who to talk to, but they had these questions and they were looking for someone with the answer, and they didn't know who to talk to. And these two men, gray-haired and all, had many, many years of experience of many different items in business, in the media business. And so this information they put together, and they began to sell their services to these younger people, or people that may have had less amount of years in the media business. And they began to put a price tag on their information. And they sold their information, all the knowledge that they had in their mind. They sold it to these individual people for different prices. Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And they were meeting them there at the trade show to introduce them to different leaders. I never heard of anything like this. I said, this is interesting. I have about 15, 20 years of broadcast experience, 10, 15 years of going to the trade show. I have a lot of information inside me. Who would want that information? Now, I had this different thought inside my brain. When I came home, after spending $5,000 of traveling and expenses and tickets and even more with the equipment that I was purchasing there, that following year, I went with a different thought process. I need to be a consultant. So I began to research, what does it take to be a consultant? And I began to put pricing. Well, what's the proper price to charge and all of that? So I started asking questions of different people. I went on my LinkedIn and I found other consultants. I said, explain to me how this works. And one guy charged me $100. Another one charged me $200. Another person talked to me for free. And I pulled all this information together of what does it take to be a consultant. Now, the following year came around and the trade show was about to open up. And I began to call some of my relationships that I had built from the trade show. And I asked them, would you consider hiring me as a consultant? And I'll go and represent your business at the trade show. all of these owners were so excited. They said, if you can do this, we're looking for, and they would begin to tell me, there's a certain piece of equipment we're looking for, or there's a certain idea that they don't have a solution for. And I began to take notes. And I created a payment system, depending on what they wanted, for as little as $100 up to $1,500. And I put this price point together. And I said, hire me to do this. And I was shocked to find out what I could get paid for the information that I had and my time at a trade show representing them. That next meeting at the trade show, I made almost $5,000. My expenses were going to be covered by all of these different clients that I was charging consultancy fees for. And I fulfilled everything that they wanted. What equipment needed for certain projects, and what business, and what lead, and what contact. And they didn't have to come to the trade show, and I was able to do the trade show for them for that price. Well, this business grew and grew to where I have now what's called Ortiz Media Group consultancy services that I consult for different broadcasters, different media groups. And with the internet and the streaming, this has made me a lot of money. But all this came about by that conversation, eating that horrible, expensive burger on the floor. No sanitation whatsoever. And I was able to, in one conversation with two men, revolutionize my entire business. With that in mind, I've put together what's called my Thought Leaders Zoom call. And I'm making this available to you for $7. You're $7 away from being able to make your next $1 million. And some of you may be saying, that doesn't make any sense to me. Well, first of all, $7 tells me you have some type of value to it. $7 is not a lot of money. Everybody can pay $7 for something. You pay $7 or more at Starbucks, at McDonald's, at Whataburger, and what do you get out of it? A very bad meal. It reminds me about the meal that I have on the floor, that I had there on the floor. And for $7, you're going to spend 2 hours with me on a Zoom call, but not just me. We're going to be talking to some other people that have ideas and thoughts. I have consultants that are coming on the line. They're not going to sell you a service. They're going to talk about their service. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. But that's not a pitch. They're going to give you advice. And you're going to have questions. And you're going to want to ask these questions. And you may say, well, I don't want to come out on video. That's fine. Turn the video off. Just keep your audio on. Or just send a question over the text tool, the comment. This is something brand new I've never done before. But I said, I'm going to put this together and charge $7 so it could be affordable to everybody. And I'm going to limit it to 50 people. I can have 1,000 people on my Zoom account live at the same time, but I'm limiting it only to 50 people on my very first Thought Leaders Zoom call. And if we can have 50 people that come together that pay $7, that you can either glean information or you can give information. And we can have this conversation. I think 50 people would be perfect, because some of those will be those that just want information, or some of those may be those that have information, or some of those may be those that have some great questions. Whoever you are watching this video, I want to encourage you and invite you to come and be part of my Thought Leaders private Zoom call this Monday, November the 3rd, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. No matter where you are around the world, you can subscribe just $7 and receive a private Zoom link for you to be part of the Zoom call. And let's have a private conversation together to help you with your next $1 million. I made over $1 million with that information that I paid $25 for burgers on a dirty floor in the middle of a trade room floor, that I paid over $5,000 and all the other services to be there. But I walked out with probably 30 minutes to an hour worth of a conversation with two men from another part of the world that I've never seen before and I've never seen after. But that information that they gave me was the information that completely changed my entire life. This information on this one Zoom call can change your entire life. I don't know, because I don't know what your questions are. But if you would consider, go to clarkortiz.com, click on the very first page where it says to register today, to begin, and be part of my Thought Leaders Zoom call on Monday, November the 3rd, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And let's have a conversation. It's worth the $7, I promise you. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, reach out to me wherever you see this video, and let's start this conversation so you can be part of my private Zoom call November the 3rd at 7 p.m. I'm Pastor Clark, and I love you.